Hello and welcome to the live stream. My apologies for starting a little bit late. I was having a technical issue. I couldn't get my Luminar to delete some virtual copies that I made, and I'm seeing that it looks to me on my screen that my voice and my lips are out of sync. So please tell me in the chat if that is the case, and I will make some adjustments. How's my sound? Can you hear me okay? Otherwise, we're going to be talking about sky replacements today. So, sky replacement errors is a big pet peeve of mine, and I see a lot of them poorly done on social media, particularly in Facebook groups and so on. So, I want to give you some tips today to make sure that you do not make those critical sky replacement errors. So we're going to be using some landscape images that have been previously submitted for the live stream editing. So you may even see your image and some from our Luminar course. We're out of sync. Okay. Let me just see if I can change it. All right. I've changed the number of frames. Is that better or worse? Tell me now. Ready, sync. I know there's a delay between what you see and waiting for chat to come in. So let me know if that's better or worse, if I need to go the other direction with the adjustment. S Fields. Is that Stafford? Otherwise sounds good. Okay. Otherwise out of sync. But how am I now? I'm not getting any more comments. I got some. Oh, takes 60 seconds to take effect. I got a thumbs up. Worse. You say it's worse. Worse? Your audio is ahead of my... Yeah, I'm trying to fix that. All right, let's go back here. I'll go the other direction. It takes 60 seconds to come in. If I can't get this one to work, we may just be out of sync today, and I'm not sure why. Let me turn off this. Maybe that's the issue. Okay, I've turned off one thing. Tell me if that's any better. I know I have to have my lips facing this way. Is that any better? 1, 2, 3. Still out of sync. I don't have any other options for changing the settings, guys. Guys and gals, folks. I've turned off my microphone setting. The only other thing I can do is turn this off. There isn't a negative thing for me to go the other way, Rob, so I'm not sure. This is an ongoing issue. I'm going to have to talk to Ecamm and figure out why. So I'm just going to make myself small. And, oops, that's the wrong one. Where are we? There we go. Okay. And I need to move that up. There we go. Okay, so now I don't have me on the screen at all. There we go. Let's just make me little. Okay, I'm just gonna go way over here in the corner. So if I'm out of sync, I'm really tiny. So you're not gonna be looking at me anyways. We'll just deal with it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience on this one. Okay, as you can see, we are in Luminar Neo, and I've got some images selected, as I said, from previous submissions for this live stream, and some that are in my Luminar Neo course. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. So the biggest mistakes that I see made are incorrect sky for the image, okay? And incorrect meaning there's two things that you have to get right. You have to get the direction of light correct, and you have to get the quality of light correct. Okay, so let me show you an example. Okay, I'm going to start with this one because it's got a really obvious direction of light, and I did do a sky replacement on this one, so I'm actually just going to go back a step here. This is what I was having trouble with. It was not removing the sky replacements that I wanted to. There we go. Okay, so this is before the sky replacement. Okay, that's the original image. Okay. So I want you guys to look at this and tell me which direction is the light coming from. So if you haven't done exercises like this before, this will be a good one for you, okay? So if you want to know where the light is coming from, hint, 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 look for the shadows, okay? So where are the shadows in this one? The light is going to be coming from the opposite direction, okay? So tell me, where is, I know it's out of sync, Cindy. There's nothing I can do about it at this point, right? So where's the light coming from in this image? Is it coming from behind the camera, camera right, camera left, or behind the subject, which is, in other words, facing directly into the camera? Okay, so that's what I want you to analyze in your image first. Oh, now it says I'm in sync. That's great. Okay, so I just want to know about direction of light. I've already given you a hint here. Okay, and the quality of light is the second thing. So while you're answering in the chat about where the light is coming from, um, I want to know about quality of light. I want to let you know about quality of light. So in this image, the quality of light is hard, meaning it's a very direct light source producing harsh shadows. So there's bright highlights and harsh shadows. Okay. So the sky shouldn't be overcast, which is a very soft type of lighting. Okay. So in this image, I'm not getting any answers in the chat here. Rob, you might have to be my answer. Oh, David, thank you. Left from the left. It is indeed coming from the left. So the light is coming across the image this way. Okay. So there's very strong shadows over here. Right. David says 10 o'clock. Right. Either way, it's coming from the left side. Okay. So in the sky that we put in, we don't want to have the sun up here in the right-hand corner. Okay, so I'm going to just remove this sky, or let's find a different one. So I'm going to find one that is the wrong sky. So see how it's recommending this one? I'm actually just going to go with this one. And let me just change my, okay, positioning here. So you can arrange put the position here. Okay, so let's put the sun over there. Okay, that does not make sense, right? Because the light is coming from here in the sky and here in the picture. And I see this so often. And I wanted to start with this one because it's really obvious in this one. And it's an easy fix too. So if you want to use this image, just flip it and put it over here. But even still, I think that the light is not coming from behind the subject like a sunset, okay? It's coming from the front here because the front of this dune is lit up. So it's coming from like here, okay? So this is still not the best sky for this image. So if we want to find a good sky, I might look for a blue sky, something like this. See, that works better because it's believable in the fact that it's bright blue sky and we have sun. Okay, so this sky would be consistent with what we have in the scene. Okay, I could do just a full blue sky, California clear skies, some of these, so something like that works as well. Okay, so we still have the nice stark contrast. And let's see what else does not work. So I'm going to find a few that do not work. Let's see, stormy, dramatic. Okay, again, something like this is not going to work. Okay, doesn't work. Incongruent. So your sky has to be congruent with not only the direction of light, but the quality of light. Okay, that works. And in skies like this, I just want to find a position that, looks good. This one actually looks pretty good on this sky. So I might even go with one like this, right? Are you seeing the difference? Okay? Give me a thumbs up if you see the difference here, okay? Let me find a cloudy sky. I know I have some in my DPM pack. So let me just show you one that also does not work because of quality of light. So look at this one, okay? Now we have kind of a stormy, cloudy sky, And it also doesn't make sense, okay? Because where's the sun? Now there is cases where you'll have the foreground in bright sun and the background would be a nice stormy, sky, but this one absolutely doesn't make sense. So I'm just going to do an undo. There we go. And go with something like that. Okay, so those are the two major things we want to look for: is direction of light in the image and quality of light. Okay, so let's look at the opposite problem. Let's look at one where the sky is a little bit hazy. Okay, this one, for example. I'm going to do a really quick edit on this one just to punch up the image, and I'm going to crop it so we don't have so much foreground. So we just want this. Okay, looks like it's crooked. There we go. Okay, so we want to deal with this sky because it's kind of bland, right? Now this is a JPEG, so I'm not going to do a whole lot with it, but let's just do a quick auto adjust in develop, and maybe a little. That really didn't do all that much. Did a little bit. Let's give it a little bit more contrast. And let's do an enhance AI. So again, I'm just doing this really quickly. Okay, so now if we want to replace this sky, again, we need to take a close look at where the direction of light is in the image and the quality of light. We already know the quality of light is soft. Okay, so soft light is where you have indiscriminate shadows. So soft shadows, not harsh shadows. And if we can't tell, let's zoom in here. Okay. Look at the shadows of the people on the ground. Okay. If you had hard lighting, you'd be able to draw a line around them like we could on the sand dunes. Okay. There's very soft shadows, if any at all. So this is very soft lighting. But do we have a direction of light? Okay. There's always a direction of light. It's pretty soft. It's actually, if anything, maybe coming from camera. Okay, so this has not got a lot of contrast coming from one side or the other. So I see sort of coming from a little bit from this way. Okay, so if anything, I'm just looking at this guy's shoulder. Okay, as where the direction of light is, and it's overhead, maybe from this way. Okay, but they have very little shadows, if any. Okay, so now let's go see if we can find a sky that works for this one. It's suggesting the Milky Way, which is definitely not correct. So these ones here are suggested by Luminar, and as you can see, sometimes it gets it wrong, very, very wrong. So I'm going to start with some in my sky pack. I'm going to start with one that is incorrect. Okay, so we know that it should be soft light, meaning we're not going to see the sun in the sky, right? So let's start with one where we have a really strong sun. Okay, look at that. This is not going to work. Okay, maybe let's flip it. Right, number one, it's really dark. I can fix that over here. Right, you can brighten it up a little bit, but it doesn't match. It doesn't match the color. Right, we can fix the scenery lighting and match the scene with a bit more yellow, but it just does not make sense. Right, because if the sun was here, where are the shadows? Right, there would be shadows of the people. Right, there would be shadows of the rocks. So follow the sunlight and see, okay, does this make sense? No, it does not. Okay, so let me come back here. These adjustments down here, I'll come back to in a minute because they can make a real big difference to getting your sky to match. Okay, so in this one, I want a sky that has some haze. Okay, so let's try. Even that is still a little bit blue, but we're getting closer. Okay, we're getting closer. I don't think I have one in my set, so let's go and see what we have on Skylum's set. I want something. See, that's actually not bad, right? Because it's kind of hazy. It's kind of got some clouds, right? What we don't want is, this kind of thing, okay? Because it's definitely not coming from this direction, right? We might be able to get away with something like this, and this one actually doesn't look too bad, right? But we still want to make sure that the direction of light, there we go. So it's coming from, sort of this way. Maybe we can make this one work. Okay, so you have to be really, really careful about the sky that you choose with the direction. There's one sky, and I want to see if I can find it, that is really common in. It comes with Luminar, and I have too many here to find it. This one, there it is. So it's under the traumatic sunsets. Okay, so this is another common mistake, is using the same one over and over and over. This sky has been used about 1 billion times on 1 billion images by 1 billion people, maybe even more, and I'm not exaggerating. I see this one on so many images in Facebook groups. Okay. um Yeah, I like the leading lines in that last one too, David. Okay, so can you guys see the issue with this one? Right, not only is the quality of light wrong, the direction of light is wrong. Everything would be backlit here, right? So you'd have some shadows coming towards the camera. This would all be in backlighting situation, and the fact that this guy has been used 6 million times, um, as well as this one. Okay, so it's not a stormy day. It doesn't look like a stormy day. It does not match. Okay. So you want to pick a sky that makes sense with your image. Could we do a starry night and turn it into nighttime like it's suggesting? I don't think so. Right. I've got some skies in my sky pack number 2, including auroras. Okay. So if I want to do some sky stars, right, we make this into nighttime. That one doesn't look right at all. Okay. The sky is actually not bad here, but it doesn't blend very well and it doesn't make sense. Okay. So if you're going to turn day to night, which you can do, okay, it has to be the right thing. And I'll show you one where it works. Okay. All right. So gloomy twilight skies. Maybe one of these will work because we've got sort of nondescript lighting in the foreground. Okay. So maybe a gloomy twilight sky, right? These are actually not bad, right? Because it's kind of hazy in the picture. Ooh, that one's actually not bad either, right? We might be able to get away with something like this, like it's dusk, okay? This one is actually not bad. We can darken it or lighten it, right? And this atmospheric haze is a slider that I use a lot. Okay, it's down under the sky adjustment area. I bring up the haze to soften the overall sky effect. See how dark and contrasty it is? When I bring this up, now it's much softer, which kind of matches the scene a little better. Okay, so this one is actually not that bad. Now, one other thing to note is after you apply your sky, you can continue to edit. Okay, so we have I'm just going to close some of these things here. I don't think I need the portrait tools today. I'm going to leave landscape open. You can continue to edit. Okay, so if I want to enhance the color even more, I could go to Twilight Enhancer, and Twilight Enhancer will help some of this color come back into the foreground. Okay, so let's go actually with the mauve one and see we get something fairly dramatic. But now it actually blends a little better. So we've got some pink here, we've got some pink here, right? Is that believable? It's actually not bad, right? So the whole thing is it has to be believable, right? Remember how I said the sun is hitting his shoulder, maybe coming from over here, but it's not bright sun. So here we have a very sort of diffused sky, very soft. I could also come back in and blur the sky a little bit more, because that's the other mistake that I see is a sharp sky with a blurry background. So when I zoom in here, notice these mountains in the background are quite out of focus, right? So I could come back to the sky enhancer and come down here and just give it a little bit of defocus, okay? Like that, okay? Because if your distant subject or your background, as it were, is blurry, so would the sky be. So it doesn't make sense to have focus here, blurry here, and then sharp again. Okay, so you can't have a blurry background and a sharp sky because the sky is the ultimate background. Okay, so now that I've blurred it, let's put Twilight Enhancer back. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, I might have blurred it a little bit too much. So if you blurred it too much, come back to the edits panel. So this is tweaking, okay? So I can come back here and tweak it at any time. So I defocus to 2, maybe I'll just go back to 1, okay? There we go. And now I've done sky and twilight enhancer, okay? I can come back and do enhance AI again and enhance the sky more, right? If I want, right? In this case, I don't want to give it too much contrast, right? So now my question to you is that believable? There's our before and after, okay? This one is believable to me, right? It looks like there's some soft light falling here over the mountains and the hills in the background. The pink from the sky has been enhanced with the twilight enhancer. So that's part of making things match, okay? So let's recap. First thing you want to get right is the direction and quality of light to match the image, okay? So the sky must match direction of, and quality of light. Number 2 is you want to blend it in terms of not just the masking of the sky using the sliders and the tools, but the color and the overall feel between the image and the sky. Okay. And you can do that with the sky tool, but then also some of the others, like the twilight enhancer that I just used. Okay. Especially if you're adding sky that has color. Okay. Questions? Any questions? Ah, yes. This is a good one, David. The clouds often look out of scale, which is what happened on that one that I put on earlier. The clouds looked too big, right? Like the image of the clouds or the sky was taken with a long lens, and the image that I'm putting it into was taken with a wide lens. Yeah, no bueno. Right? You're finding this helpful, Cindy. Awesome. I'm so glad. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so another thing is when you have stuff, oops, I didn't grab the right image. When you have images like this, yes, the sky is kind of blah, right? But let's do some basic adjustments here. Again, I'm just going to do an auto adjust, which is not really doing that much, is it? Let's boost the shadows. Okay, so the sky itself is not doing very much here. Okay, it's going to be really difficult to replace this sky. Why? Because this looks like a cloud. Okay, so if we try and replace this sky, let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to go to sky, and it's suggesting a bright blue sky, which we know is not going to be right because look at the landscape. What is the quality of light here? It is soft lighting. There's no shadows. I see no shadows. Direction of light is going to be sort of overhead because anytime you have an overcast situation, the light is from overhead. Okay. So if we put in a bright blue sky, okay, we see a number of problems, right? First of all, it's going over top of the smoke or the geyser as I predicted. Okay, so we got to scale back on the global to get some of the sky. Then we could try fix details. Or see, we're not gonna get that smoke back. Okay, so the problem here is that there's not enough difference between the subject, which is the geyser, and the sky. Okay, so don't make your life difficult by trying to do things like this. Okay, instead of doing a sky replacement here, I would enhance the existing sky. Okay, so know when you should work with what you have already and when you should replace it. Right? Look at, there's actual color in the sky there. Okay, so we can enhance it using the sky enhancer, and we have other tools at our disposal. I could try twilight enhancer and see what happens. May have the same problem. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna drag it up, and actually, it's not bad. I don't want the pink color here. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of the dawn color here. And let's bring the exposure up a little bit. So I want a little bit more blue sky, like so. Okay. So see what that's doing? It's just giving an overall kind of blue effect. But now that we have the blue, we can use color to darken it. Okay, so HSL is hue, saturation, and luminance. Luminance being brightness. and we can go in and darken the blues. And we have to be careful, okay? So here's another mistake. Over editing the sky. I'll show you another one that's over edited because I'm guessing this is going to be over edited. When I zoom in here, can you start to see what's happening? I don't know if you can see it or not. It's really grainy, okay? Can you see that? So because I've done so much editing, this is smooth down here, but the sky is grainy. Okay. So we could try noise reduction on the sky, but that's something that you need to look out for. Okay. So you need to make sure you don't over edit, because anytime you push images to the max, especially in certain areas like the sky, you'll be you're really prone to getting a lot of extra noise, and sky especially because of the blue. Okay. So let's take a look at one where we are over edit. Let me see. Oh, I've got the sky in here. Okay, I think this one will band if I over edit this one. I've already done some basic editing on this one, right? Looks like I got rid of all the poles and things, but I've missed I missed that spot right here. So I'm just going to finish up getting rid of this pole. Okay, so I used the erase tools and various things to adjust the color, give it more warmth, and to remove the power lines. Okay, now let's see what happens if I do some further enhancing. Let me just see what I've done here. Okay, so all I did was, yeah, I think I've got too much yellow here. Oops. Color. Yeah, a little too much yellow. Let's scale back the yellow. And let's brighten it just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this to the max to show you what over editing looks like. Okay, and the Enhance AI with the Sky Enhancer is one that goes over the top way too easily. Because I want to zoom in here on the sky so that you can see what's happening. Okay, do you see that? Now you should be able to see it. Okay, look at that. It's making this ugly pixelation. Okay. So when you push things too far, you'll get this kind of thing. So this is pixelation or banding. Okay. So banding is when you have colors that are striped and it doesn't flow from one color to the next evenly. Okay. So you want to watch out for pixelation and banding. Okay. Then when we add structure, I'm going to come back here and just push it a little farther. Okay. Then when we add structure, we're actually adding structure to, oh, we just added it there. So, and then I erased these. There we go. Okay, so I still have this issue with the sky. So I want to, if you end up with issues like this, you have to backtrack through your edits. Okay, so come to the edits panel and start at the beginning. Right, when you go to the bottom at develop raw, just take a minute to catch up, you'll see the edit or the image with just the raw edits. Okay, so all I did here, apparently I did nothing. It looks like I thought I did something here. Did I undo something? Oh, there we go. I did it under develop, apparently, instead of develop raw, right? So you can backtrack. So we got no problem in the sky here, right? Oh, there's the problem. Okay, so when you start at the bottom of your edits down here, you'll find the problem and then you can correct it. Okay, so there's the problem. Now you can come back up to the top or just go back to tools, and all of the things that have been applied after that, you can see where it says processing will be applied in a moment. Okay, so now it's going to erase the spots and we have a sky that is cleaner. Okay, so that's what too far looks like. Right, now let's look at a sky replacement on this one. Okay, so if we want to do a sky, where's the direction of light here? Okay, so it should be pretty obvious, right? Because we have what? Shadows. Okay, so the shadows are coming from or falling which direction, which means the light is in the opposite direction. Okay, so we see shadows here, right? Look at the shadow. Okay, we can even follow the line of it. Okay, so it's going this way, which means the sun is over here next to the camera. Okay, so it's coming from camera left. Okay, which means it would not be coming from the sky. So here we cannot go and add, oops, not sun rays. We cannot go, it wants to give us a nighttime sky again. We cannot go and add a dramatic sunset, right? We cannot put in stuff like this. Let's see. I want to find a nice sunset. Okay, now if I put in something like this, which has the sun in it, right? Let's make it really wrong. Okay, so I want to show you what really wrong looks like. Okay, really wrong. Okay, because how can the sun be here when it's over here? Okay, it's completely opposite. Okay, even if I put it the other direction, still wrong. Okay, because if the sun was here, the shadows would be going this way. Okay, but they're not, they're going this way. Okay, so we need a sky that is clouds. Okay, so let's just do we want like puffy skies. I'm not crazy about these ones here. These are really, really saturated. I'm not a fan of a lot of the ones that came with Luminar Neo, so I make my own. Rob, can you please share a link to our sky packs in the chat below? So let me just find a sky that might work. Yeah, these still have too much sun in them, so I'm gonna look at. Let's see, Moody Blues. These are all ones that I've gotten from different places, right? Now look at what happens here. This is really interesting, and of course, it puts it in the reflection. Okay, so when we do a sky like this, we have to make sure, this one is actually kind of cool. Okay, we have to make sure that it's not coming across the buildings, that we don't get over top. And there's another mistake. Okay, so a lot of times I'll see a sky replacement and we'll see something like this. I'm just going to do this on purpose. Okay, and the telltale sign that the sky has been replaced is when it's overlapping part of the architecture. So if you have a building that has a white roof or a white side, you may get it coming across into that building. See the top here? The sky is over top this building. Okay, look at all the buildings, right? It's also in the windows here, right? So you really have to watch, and this is your mask refinement sliders, right? That you're not going overboard and getting it fitting into your existing image, okay? Let's take a look at the reflection. We could do a little bit of scene lighting. The reflection looks pretty good. Maybe I'll scale it back just a little bit, blur it a little bit, right? Now it's also coming across in the reflection here, okay? It's coming across the building there, okay? So I could dial the sky, the reflection back a little bit. See how that helps? Just to make it a little softer. That's better. I don't want to mask it from that area because I think it's going to be too obvious. And this atmospheric haze is going to help a lot in this one, okay? Because I don't like the contrast of this sky, right? So there's another tip for you. If you are making your own skies, don't make them so contrasty. Don't make the blue so dark, right? Because you can always darken it in here. I'm going to make it bluer and brighten it a bit. Okay, so I want the sky. I like the shape of the sky and the clouds, but I'm lightening it using these things here. Okay, like so. Okay, so that is a better, believable sky. Clouds are kind of cool, actually. Notice how it's really kind of counteracting the yellow that I added before. So again, double back to your edits, okay, and come back in here, right? So I had added yellow, so I'm actually going to undo that. And if anything, I'm going to go the other direction and keep my highlights down. Okay. And then when we come back to the sky, so when you come back up to the top, it's going to show processing because it has to apply all of these things in the middle here. Let me just see if there's any question. Invalid link, Rob says. Okay, let's see. I'm still in sync. Yay. Luis says great info. Thanks for watching, Luis. Let's see. Where are you from, Luis? I have not seen you in our live stream before, so thanks for joining in. Looks like a few new people as well. Steven. Sometimes the clouds don't look correct near the horizon. They don't look like they are distant enough, or the perspective is not correct. How do you correct this? Um, Honestly, in that case, Stephen, I would probably just pick another sky. Or you can play with the sky orientation to move it down a little bit or side to side and see if it solves that problem. Because if that was the case here, let's just see what happens if I go back here and move this down. Okay. So using the sky orientation, right, you can move it down like this and then just get rid of that problem. Okay. Right. If I don't want so much of that, I can move it down a little bit. Right. I can also move it side to side, and you'll see the bottom gets adjusted when I do that. Okay. Yeah. See, it's not quite right here. Right. You're right. It's not quite right over here. Right. It doesn't blend properly there. So I'm going to move it down a bit. And this one. See, this one also down. Right? I still think I need to make it bluer. It looks too yellow. Right? Good question, Stephen. Let's see. Sky replacement packs. Link doesn't work. There's a proper link. Yes, Marsha, that's why I went back to the original, because the original image was quite yellow. So I came back to dial out the yellow and solve that. And for some reason, I don't know why I didn't use develop raw in this one. I should have been doing this on develop raw, right? Because the original is quite kind of overexposed, right? I could see about using one of these presets as well. Doesn't seem to be catching up with me here. But I had made it yellow here, and that's why I came and dialed out some of the yellow. Okay. Let's go back here. So all of those things help to blend it. Okay. So you have to have the right sky, chosen the right sky, put it in the right way to match the lighting direction. Right now it's really contrasty. Okay. So something is going on to add a bunch of contrast here. And I agree, it is too blue. So I'm going to dial the blue back a little bit. And I've made it too bright. Right now, if my sky is still not a good color and it's still not blending, let's go back to that sky enhancer or to that twilight enhancer. Okay. So I can go in and add some color. Let's try emerald. See, this is too dark. I usually just do this, honestly, manually, right? See how it's really shifting things? I don't want dawn on here because that's really for a sunrise or a sunset. And I just want to affect the scene, right? So I can affect it this way, right? So relighting on the scene. Let's give it a little bit warmer overall. How's that? Let's see the before and after on this one. Right? So see how when you add this twilight enhancer, it brings everything together. And if it's still not matching, there's another tool that you can use. And that is in the creative section. Okay, if you go down to mood, you can try toning, but I often apply a lot. Okay, and my trick with applying a lot is I drag the amount up to about 50, and then I go shopping for a lot. Okay, so if I want to find one, and I'm just going to use the ones that come with Luminar, so you'll be able to find the same ones. I just go over them and see, what works here. Okay, I'm just looking for something to bring the colors together. Okay. Yeah, these are not working. I think actually I like the portrait ones, to be honest. No, let's do no, not finding any that I like here. No, still not finding any that I like. I'm going really, really quick here. No. What's the other one? Cinematic. Yeah, these ones. Okay, let's try these. Oh, that's a little better. Okay. I'm looking for something that just brings it together. I'm going to try that and then just dial it down. Okay. So just ever so softly, it's bringing the colors together. Okay. Doesn't have to be dramatic, right? But let's look at the before and after. Okay. So I cleaned up all of the power lines, the dust spots, and changed the sky. So in this case, to make it believable, we had to match the direction and quality of light, as always, the color of the sky, okay, and make sure it matches in the water, so the reflection, and then bring the colors together using some additional tools. So in this case, I use Twilight Enhancer and Mood. Okay, so not just the masking in the sky tool itself, but other tools that help you bring the color together. So once you change the sky, change the color of the whole thing, and it will make it blend better. Okay. Let's do another example. I want to show this one because this is one where I probably wouldn't change the sky because the sky's got some interesting elements, right? It's crooked. And I'm just going to crop off some of the water so we make it more about the top part here. Okay. So the sky itself is good, right? Let's put this off center. We just need to bring it out. Okay. So the first thing before you even do a sky replacement is edit your image, right? There may be some detail in the sky that you can bring out, right? These camera profiles are for Canon, right? Look at that. Okay. So Canon landscape. This is a CR2, a CR3 file. Is Lee watching today? I haven't seen her. Okay. I'm going to brighten the whole thing. Look at the histogram when you edit. Okay. So I'm going to brighten the whole thing and darken it. And then I'm going to go and use, after I do develop raw, I'm going to go and give it a sky enhancer. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of pink. That's not bad. Okay. And remember, we can also mask things. Okay. So in this case, I'm just doing a basic edit using develop raw. So we're already bringing out the color of everything. Okay. Let's go use Enhance AI, specifically this sky enhancer. Okay, so look at that. Again, be very careful with this slider because this is going overboard. We're starting to get grain again and noise and this weird color shift. Okay, in conjunction with Accent AI, now we have a big giant mess. Okay, can you see the problems here? Okay, that one is really obvious. Okay, so if you are not sure, take things to the 100 like this, take things all the way, right, and see what's happening, and then bring them back down. Right, so I want to bring this Accent AI up a little bit. I've got a cat on my desk. And this one here. Okay, so if I don't want to affect the land, we can also mask it, right? So if I just want this on the sky, I can also mask it to just the sky. Okay, I'm still checking for, it's getting a lot of noise up here again, right? But I don't mind it so much here. We can always use the denoise to remove some of the noise from the sky only, okay? So denoise, right? Let's remove the noise from here. Take a minute. Right, it's definitely doing a good job there. And then I'm just going to mask it using Mask AI to just the sky. Okay, so I often use this denoise tool as opposed to noiseless raw or noiseless AI because I find that I can mask this one better and control it better. Okay, so instead of these guys up here. Okay, but you could use either or. You can mask this one as well. Okay, now we could still come in and do Twilight Enhancer. Okay, again, remember to keep it subtle. And if we're going to do dramatic stuff, right, let's make sure we get it right. Right. I want to make sure that I've got the sky in the right place. Right. This one here, set your horizon so that the dawn is literally at the horizon. And I don't want as much of this dawn effect, right? Because it's not dawn, it's like middle of the day. So dawn gives you a strip in the middle here, right? If I just brighten it, see, it gives you this strip like on the horizon. And I don't want it as prominent. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of color on the dawn side. Okay, again, see how that's pulling everything together. Brighten the sky a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this one, we do not need to do a sky replacement, right? It's dull, but with some basic enhancements and using the right tools, you can easily pull detail and color out of this sky, okay? I would probably on this one do one of my favorites, which is mystical, like so. And just do a little softening on it, okay? Like so. So there's our before and after, right? No need to do a sky replacement on that, okay? Let's see. I'm actually going to do a quick little test here. I want to try something, okay? I'm going to copy the settings from this one. I'm just going to do it this way so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to paste it on this one, okay? Because I want to see what it does to the sky and if it goes completely ridiculous, which it did. Okay, so I need to backtrack this, obviously. Let's go to develop raw first. So I've done some strange things here with the color, obviously. Let's go back to the original color. And I'm just going to warm it up a little. So what's happening here is I want to see if I can pull some detail out of that sky, okay? Because the original is very blah, okay? And it's got some weird things going on here with the color. Oh, camera landscape, that's why. Let's go back to Adobe Standard. There we go. So it had it had the landscape profile applied, which was doing some really blue odd things. So we go back to standard, okay? Now we can deal with like the original. Look at, there's no sky, but is there? Okay, so be really clear on, do you have to replace the sky or is there some detail there? Okay, so in editing this picture, okay, you can see that there is indeed detail in the sky. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it some contrast and go one by one here. Okay, I'm gonna undo what we did here. Let's see about Twilight Enhancer. So this one does not fit on this image. Get rid of it. So I tried an experiment with copy and paste and it didn't work. So I ended up getting rid of all of it. Okay, so just develop raw gives us that. Okay, now remember we can go and do enhance AI, right? Look at the sky enhancer now, okay? And mask it to the sky. But it's actually doing a really nice thing down below as well because this image is really kind of flat, right? So just using the enhance AI is doing a good job. I use my keyboard shortcuts a lot to check for clipping warnings. And in this case, we still have a little bit of clipping in the sky. Rob, can you please share a link to our free keyboard shortcuts cheat sheet? So we have a cheat sheet available for you if you would like to download this one. Rob will share a link and you can print it out and have it available for you when you're working in Luminar. And where am I? Come back here. Okay, so we can do enhance AI, and I'm checking for clipping warnings, and I see that there is some. So I'm going to come back to develop. This is another thing that trips people up, especially people new to editing or to Luminar. You can apply develop more than once. However, develop raw always happens at the beginning, right? If I had not done develop raw, when I do enhance AI, the second I apply another tool, develop is still here, but it's not develop raw anymore. Okay, so you don't have the camera profiles and some of the optics options. Okay, but you do have masking. Okay, so if you see the masking tab here, you're in develop. And if you want develop raw, all you have to do is come back to your edits panel and go to the bottom. Okay, even if you applied something else first, you can still come back here and do develop raw. But I want to use develop here to bring the highlights down on the sky even more. See that? Right? But I only want it to apply to the sky. So now I can bring that down, okay? And I even want to soften the clouds a little bit. So let's do that. And then just mask AI, and it'll give me the sky. And Bob's your uncle, right? See that? So I can see that it's just darkening the sky enough to get rid of the clipping warnings, okay? I would probably do a crop on this one as well. I like to freeform my crop. Rob, if you could please share a link to our cropping live stream. I did a, was it almost 2 hour live stream just talking about cropping, not specifically how to use the cropping tool, but why to crop your images and how much and what I'm looking for when I'm cropping my images. Okay. Here, there's a lot of foreground that really isn't adding to the image at all. So I'm just going to crop it out, and I'm not worried about the aspect ratio. Okay. Let's see. Stephanie says the clouds with the trails were mare's tails. I've never actually seen them before. Waves on a lake. Yeah, they were quite interesting, weren't they, Marguerite? All right. So there is a more realistic sky because it's the sky that came with the image. It's there. Okay. If I try and replace this sky, I'm probably going to not get one that matches as well. Right. So was that helpful? So the first thing you want to do is take a look at your image. Even though it doesn't look like there's sky detail there, when it's a raw file, I'm going to hazard a guess that there's actually probably detail. Okay. I could even come in and do like a water enhancer and get some color in the water here and so on. But it's kind of a barren, it looks like maybe a fire or some kind of disease came through here. And it actually looks fine like that. So we've punched up the image and the sky. Okay, so the lesson is on that one, don't replace the sky if you don't have to. Okay. Now let's talk about a night sky. Okay, so I'm just going to come back here. I've done some edits on this one. Oops, where are we? There we go. I've done some edits on this image to add the lights, turning them on in different places here to add some starbursts. Why do I have so many? I don't know why I have so many instances of this, but I don't want the moon to have a starburst. So I've just enhanced the image a little bit color wise to make it a bit more blue. So it was kind of obviously at dusk, but it wasn't quite blue hour. So I colored it a little bit more to give it more of that blue hour kind of feeling. Okay, but this is the moon. Okay, so if I want to change the sky and turn it into nighttime, I can make it realistic. I'm going to go to my own sky replacements. Pack number 2 has some auroras and some night skies. Okay, so I'm going to pick one of these that I think might work well. Right, some of these have auroras in them. I'm just going to try them until they fit. I think this is the one I used before, so I'm going to come back to that one. Actually, that one's not bad either. Okay, let's use this one. So a couple of things to note. The moon is gone, okay, which is fine. But there's this kind of halo around the building. So there's another telltale sign. We've got the sky coming over onto the building, like I talked about, and then a halo around it. So we need to solve those things, okay? Relight actually helps to solve the halo, okay? And we can brighten the sky a little bit. And remember, this atmospheric haze, right, works on night skies as well, so it's not so contrasty, right? And to make sure that my relight strength, see how that's solving that halo, right? I don't want as much blue on it, right? But now we have a more realistic nighttime. Okay, I can still work on the mask refinement here. Let's go a little less on the global. There we go. So now when I look at the before and after, right, is a believable sky replacement. Now the moon is coming through a little bit there, okay, because I did lower the global slider. So if I want to get rid of the moon, okay, you have to watch your edges. So I'm looking at the edges to make sure they match nicely. So these three sliders here, global means that it takes over more of the original image. So now you can see it coming across the building, okay? Too much, okay? So I want to keep that low enough that it makes sure I don't get these gaps along the edges, but not high enough that it goes over the building, okay? Now fixed details, I think, is where I ended up with the moon. No, maybe this one. There we go. See, when I brought this up, it brought the moon back. So if I want the moon, we can bring it back, or I can get rid of it, right? So notice these are all what's happening with the sliders, right? So there's a believable night sky replacement. And now we can even play with the orientation a little bit if I want to move the clouds. I kind of like the clouds there, right? We could flip it. No, I don't like that one. Make sure the horizon placement is good at the bottom. Notice as you change it this way, it moves the image a lot. So I don't usually do a lot of sideways movement. About like that. Okay, so the key to a night sky replacement is the original image has to make sense again. Okay, so you don't want to start with one that's full daylight and add a nighttime sky. This one was already dusk, so we just pushed it a little farther. We turned on the lights to make it believable, or I turned on the lights, and then the sky makes sense. Okay, I could do a twilight enhancer on this one as well to add more blue if I wanted to. Right. But to do a nighttime sky, for example, on like this image, okay, so even though we could add a starburst to the lantern, right, it doesn't make sense. And it's not going to make sense because the light is coming from this direction. Okay, so if we try a sky replacement to do a night sky here, let's use the same one. No, this one. It's not going to make sense. Okay. So I can bring up the relight strength, right? Now the scene looks dark, but again, it does not make sense, okay? Does not make sense, right? We've also got the halo on the sky. So remember, that is your sliders, your masking sliders, right? There we go. Okay, so that does not make sense. What would make sense in this one is something with some puffy clouds. Okay, there's those streaky clouds again. Okay, so that makes more sense, right? Makes way more sense. You're starting to get the hang of it. Okay, tell me in the chat, are you starting to get the hang of this? You're most welcome. I hope you enjoy it and you use it. So tell me in the chat, what have you learned today? I'm just going to do a quick recap. I'm only going to be live for about another 10 or 15 minutes because I have an appointment to go to this afternoon. So let's just make sure we cover all of your questions. If you have any questions, tell me in the chat, did you get something out of this today? Were you guilty of making some of these mistakes? Are you going to be careful not to make these mistakes in the future? I'm just going to keep editing and do another sky replacement on this image. And I'm going to show you one that I use a lot. This is one of my own skies again. I use this one a lot, and I'm going to put it in the wrong way, right? And I want you to tell me what's wrong with it. I want you to tell me what is wrong with it. Besides the fact that, well, you tell me. I'm not going to tell you. What is wrong with this sky? What is wrong with this sky replacement? What have I done wrong? Let's see. Learned about blending better. Stephanie says, I'm understanding the pitfalls. Awesome. Steven says, learning about blending better. Great. Good stuff, Darlene. We always get great information from your tutorials. I'm so glad. Right? So tell me, what's wrong with this image? What did I do wrong with the sky here? It's like a quiz, like a pop quiz, right? There's a few, well, let's see. Lights coming from the wrong direction. Yes, absolutely. Anything else? So where should it be coming from? Sun is opposite to the actual light. Yep. And you can tell because there's the shadow, so the sun should be over here, right? Okay, so you guys are nailing it. You're all right. Mary's right as well. Sun's coming from the wrong side. Absolutely. All right, so let's fix it. I can easily flip it, right? And make sure that the sun is over here. How's that? Better? Better. I'm assuming that you mean the sun, Stephanie. Yes, I figured. Okay, but this one may not be the best choice either because the shadows are fairly long, so it could be that the sun is low. Yeah. Okay. But let's try one that is a bit more of a bluer sky. Right. Let's do the wispy clouds again. Kind of liking this one. Okay. That's the wrong color. Look at that. Ugh. Ugh. Yuck. That's actually not bad, right? When I'm doing a sky replacement, I will play with tons of different skies to get the right one. Let's see. We could do a clear one in this one. Oh, some of these are awful. Some of these skies, I'm not even sure where I got them from. Okay, there's another one that doesn't match, right? Look at the sky. Cloudy, hazy, but we need sun, right? We need less clouds. We need less clouds. Yeah, these are horrible. If you have these skies, please don't use these. These are just horrible, right? The sky does not look like that. Let's see. Yeah, the marshmallow ones, a lot of these are just not usable. Peaceful afternoon, right? Maybe this one. That's not bad, but I mean, it's not really giving us much, right? It's giving me a weird cloud out the top. I still think that the one I had with the wispy clouds was the nicest. Sunrise glow. Dramatic. See, dramatic? No. No, 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 no. Everybody's into, you know, these dramatic skies and stuff, but it has to make sense. Okay? It has to make sense. That is the biggest thing. Okay? Now we're getting closer, right? This is better. Ah, there's one where that doesn't match either. Okay? Like somebody mentioned the perspective. Okay? That doesn't make sense because the clouds look off scale, right? I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what lens was used to photograph them, but it looks off scale, right? No. So sometimes, you have to spend a lot of time finding the right sky. Okay, I'm going to go with this one actually. This one's not bad. I'm going to give it a little more blue. And there's still light coming from this side, so I want to make sure it's lighter on this side no matter what I do here, right? That's not bad. So it just kind of they're skimming the top of the hill here. Oh, even better. Look at that. There we go. I like that. Now it sort of matches the hill. Perfect. Okay. Better. Yes. Better. quality of light was off. Yep, absolutely. Started taking my own skies at the beach on the ocean where the clouds are visible to the horizon. Yes, good one. And crop to the horizon. You can actually make skies that are, replacements that are skinnier, like they don't have to be full, 4:3 aspect ratio, or 2:3 aspect ratio. You can have them cropped more into a panorama. But if you have the ability to do that on the beach, absolutely. Take it a step farther, Stephen, and do some with different focal lengths as well, right? Because let's take a look at this one here, right? This one was taken with a 24 mil lens, right? So make sure you have some that, if you're going to be doing landscapes, that's one thing, right? You want mostly wide skies. But if you start doing things like replacing a sky in a portrait, right, which you can do, let's do one real quick here, and then that's my last thing. I've got some stock images. Let's see if I've got one where I can replace the sky. Of course, I'm not going to have any with skies, I bet. Nope. Of course. Let me look at the ones in the course. Okay, we could do this guy. Where is he? I could do a sky replacement on this one. Okay. I haven't done any editing on here, I don't think. Oh, I have. Right. So I've done a little bit of editing. I think I need for it to catch up. Right. I got rid of the I need to fix that there. Let's just fix the erase thing here. So I got rid of this. But when I did the relight, we got an error here. So always look for little things like this that give away the fact that you've edited, right? There we go. All right, so now let's try a sky replacement on this one. I'm going to do an edge vignette, but before I do that, because I want to darken this area, right? So we've brightened him, darkened the background. So let's try a sky replacement, okay? Again, it's suggesting one, that's got bright blue sky, and I don't think that's going to work, right? Don't want galaxies. I need something that's got a little bit of haze. Let's see. These are really intensely blue, and I don't think they're going to work, right? Because you see how it's hazy. Yeah, that does not work. Okay. Also, let's take a look at the lens used here. Okay, 36 mil. Okay, so if this was a sky replacement and I'm using one that's super wide, it's not going to work. And if I took this with a longer lens, again, a wide sky is not going to make sense either. Okay. So you really have to, yeah, see, that doesn't make sense either because the sun is coming. You can see his shadow here. Sun is sort of a head over top. We definitely want something, one of these, but something a little bit more cloudy. Yeah, see, that doesn't make sense either. Right? Are you starting to get it? Right? Like when I pick a sky, I'll know right away if it makes sense. Right? These dramatic. So we have a cloudy sky. Let's try that. That's actually not bad, right? So we know that it's coming from there. That's actually not bad either. Okay, so we know that the light's coming from there. It could be coming through the clouds to get him, right? Oh, let's switch it. Look at that. There's some light there, so that kind of matches. See that? There's the light coming through the cloud, and it's coming this way. So kind of, not quite, but we're getting close. Okay. That's actually not bad either. Okay. So it's definitely hazy in the background, right? It's just giving a little something there. Remember our atmospheric haze to kind of soften that. So it literally just softens the sky, right? I could give it a little bit of blue. Okay, so it just kind of gives me some texture in this background. I don't mind that one, actually. Kind of looks like it's going to storm, but the light is coming from behind him. Okay, and then I would do a final vignette once I put the sky in. Okay, and this is my process that I use for doing a vignette. I cover all of these other things that I'm kind of going really fast on inside the Luminar Neo course. So if you want to learn about all of the other tools besides the sky enhancement, check out our Luminar Neo course. Rob, you need to please share the link for our Luminar course. It has been completely redone for 2025. All of the lessons are brand new, and all of the tools that are in Luminar now are covered. And I know I've gotten a lot of questions about the Luminar ecosystem. I haven't done a video on that yet because, quite frankly, I don't have the answers. I don't know. They haven't given us any more information as partners than what they've given you. So if you have questions, so do I. If you are on our email list, I'm going to be sending out a newsletter later this week with the details that I do have and the answers to some questions that I do have. But I'm actually going to be collecting your questions. So look for that in your inbox coming up this week if you are on our newsletter list. And if you want to get on our newsletter list, all you have to do is go sign up and get that keyboard shortcuts PDF, and you'll be on our newsletter list. Right. So I'm going to be collecting those questions about the ecosystem and sending them to Skylum to answer, because I have more questions than answers myself right now. Right. Let me come back in here and we're going to wrap up. All right, how are we doing there? You don't know what lens is used on the sky, right? But what you can do is look at the information on your image. Okay, so when I go back to the catalog, it's up here. Okay, so see right here, 36 mil. Okay, so you can see what lens was used on your image. Okay, so for example, this one here was a 200 millimeter lens. Okay, so I shot this from really far away. So let's do a sky replacement on this one that isn't going to make sense. So if I pick a sky that's super wide, for example, right, let's pick this one that we had before, right? It kind of doesn't make sense. This one's not as bad, okay? But also look at the background, okay? So remember, the background is really out of focus. These are trees in the background. Look at the sky. Sky would not be sharp, okay? So this is another case of you need to have this blurred, right? And the trees are really blurry, so the sky would be really blurry as well. Are you starting to see that? Now I can play with some of these other ones and see if they make sense, right? But if we have one that's really wide, I'm trying to find one that's really wide. These aren't going to make sense. Right? They just don't make sense. Right? That one was taken with a bit longer lens. Too dramatic. That's interesting. You can't know the focal length of the sky that you're putting in, right? But you do know your focal length. Okay, so that's the main thing that I'm trying to get at here. Where's that one that's the terrible one? Do you remember where it was? No, it's got to be under sunset, right? There it is. Okay, so this guy, let's put him back to, yeah, okay, so this makes no sense. Okay, let's do the defocus. Okay, so this makes no sense for a number of reasons. Okay, we got some bad masking over here. So we can fix. Yeah, it's just not going to mask very well, right? Oh, there's another problem. See how it's coming over the bird? So if I do global, the bird now has the sky over top of them. So I'm fixing this problem and creating another one here. You see that? Right? So really watch the global slider because it comes too far over the subject. Right? There we go. And it's still causing a problem over here. So this sky is problematic in so many ways, right? Number one, of course, it's used a billion times. The lighting direction doesn't match. The time of day doesn't match. The focal length clearly doesn't match here because this is a super long lens and this is clearly a wide lens in the background. So that's kind of where I was going with that one. All right, I hope that helps you answer that one, Stephen. It's a ghost bird. Yeah, it was a ghost bird. So let me just come back here. All right. We are not going to be here in 2 weeks because we have a night workshop to lead in Alberta. So this is I think this is our only one for this month, unless we do one next week, Rob. We'll figure out about our schedule. And if we are not here next week, let me see calendar. Look for the DPM YouTube channel and the live tab. You'll always see when the next one is scheduled. It'll be scheduled there. Right. So next week, let's see. We could do one next week. And I can't do the 28th as well because I have another event to attend there. So we'll see about pushing through another live next week. So we have 2 this month, and then we'll be back again the first Sunday of October. So look for another live next Sunday, potentially, and just check that tab on the YouTube channel for lives. So I hope you got a lot out of today. We are doing a night workshop, Rob. So we are going to be talking about all kinds of things night related, photographing those night skies. And I have a cat on my desk. Kate Munch, get off of there. All right. I think I'm out of sync again. Thanks everybody for tuning in, for putting up with our audio sync and having patience waiting while I got started. First thing. And we'll see you either next week, hopefully. Watch for that to be scheduled, or back in October. So take care, everyone, and keep practicing your sky replacements. Make sure you don't make these sky replacement sins, which is wrong sky to match the image and not blended correctly. Those are the biggest pet peeves of mine. I'll answer Stephen's questions real quickly. That really depends on what they have coming out. So they have a fall update coming in November is what they've said. But usually they have minor updates every couple of months and a major update at least once a year. But again, it depends on the developers and how they manage to get things done. So thanks, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next time.